talk to me about this absolutely weak gutted dog performance by your early top 4 prediction.
Yeah, look, it was a big one, especially from the away side in the second half. I thought Canberra might, going into halftime, it looked really tight before the big 41 point margin just blew out in the second half. It was just unbelievable from the Penrith side, but it was a good response from, I think it was last week, round 4, where they did lose. So I think it was a good response from those guys after losing against Parramatta Eels.
Well, I will jump in. There is some news to come out of this game, and obviously it isn't the best news if you are a Penrith fan. I expect this to drop probably in the next 24 hours or so, but Fisher Harris has done his MCL, so he is looking at 4 to 6 weeks on the sideline at a minimum. So obviously that does leave a few options there. Who plays in what position? We obviously saw Lindsay, my mate, come out on the weekend. On the Friday, he had an absolute cracker. The first couple hit-ups, he got absolutely smashed. One from Corey, big Corey Redhead, absolutely leveled him. He got back up. He was ready to take the next hit-up. So I think they do have a lot of options. You've got Smith, you've got Spencer, Lenu, you've got Sorensen, you've got Eisenhuth. So there is a lot of options for Penrith, but obviously to lose Fisher Harris for 4 to 6 weeks, it is a massive, massive loss. But like you said, we look at this game as a whole. The Panthers, I think, what was this game? 13-6 at half time after Cleary slotted that field goal. And it was almost as if the Panthers went over. And usually you kick a field goal to go up by an extra 1 point into the half, and everyone's kind of excited. It's as if the Panthers just expected. They knew Nathan Cleary was going to nail it. They knew they were going in, and they knew they had a lot more to give in the second half. So, like you said, an absolute dominant display by Penrith. Like 9 tries, 8 from 9 conversions from Cleary, a field goal from Cleary. You've got the Raiders on 12th, and Cleary's kicked 16 points from his boot, plus a field goal, 17 points, plus a try, 21. So Cleary's won this game by himself, 21-12. So I guess from more reflections, they've conceded 50 points. They're not going to win a final if you go based on stats. But where is it going wrong with the Raiders? Is it the players that they don't have moving forward? Is it Ricky Stewart's kind of getting a little bit outdated? Now, this is a side you had coming fourth. Do you think it's just the opposition? Do you think it's the Raiders, or is it something in between?
I think it's a little bit of everything at the moment. I did have them a top 4 pre-season, and that was just purely based on what they dished up and offered towards the back end of last year. You know, they had 10 games to go, injured troops beforehand. They all sort of came back together, and they, as you would say, limped into the top 8 to make 8th spot, and went to Amy Park and knocked off Melbourne in their home turf. So it's hard to defend a team that goes out there and with high hopes, you think, yeah, this is the year that they could better themselves than last year. So they come 8th. There's 7 spots in front of them, and I had them pushing for top 4, and it's hard. I can't sit and defend them because nothing's really changing within the squad. It's not like they've gone, all right, Jared Croker, Rapana, Sebastian Chris, you know, you're like all the big superstars, you're having a big week off, and they're flooding the team with youngsters. Like, they're basically just putting out the same team as the week before, minus a few injuries and suspensions, but something's got to change within the club. Maybe it's the whole contract negotiation with, what's his name? Jackie White, wanting to test himself in the market. I don't know. As I said, something's got to give, something's going to change, and they better do it quick, smart, because they sit, one win out of 5, so it's not really good for a top 4 finish.
Yeah, 100%. Now, obviously, you brought up Wyden. Let's talk about it quite quick. We don't want to go too much into it because we are here for, obviously, the review show. But do you think this is Wyden saying to Canberra, you're going to have to splash the cash to keep me? Do you see him moving? And if you do see him moving, where do you see him going? Or do you think this is just a ploy like Moses in a sense to get that extra 50, 100, 150 grand that we know Canberra do have in their salary cap?
It depends what he's moving for. If he's moving for money, I think he's a bit of a silly goose there. But if he's moving to go searching for that premiership that he so desperately wants at 30 years old, his window of opportunity of winning one really closes every year. He's playing great footy and he owes Canberra nothing at all. Like we took him to a grand final. Yeah, you could say they were robbed by Ben Cummins. It is what it is. That was their window of opportunity. But if his whole career, if he wants to win one and he doesn't want to become a Nathan Highmarsh, and he wants to move somewhere else, maybe he's looking to play center. Maybe he's looking to play a 13 role. Maybe he's looking to play this off the bench 14. It's going to have to take a haircut on minimum contract to fit in with the rest of the salary cap if he wants to go to, say, a Rooster or a Penrith or a Storm or even a Brisbane side at the moment. That's just my opinion, but it's solely up to him. I know he's going to make the right decision, and wherever he goes, I'll still like him. He's a great player. I think, he can do anything, anywhere.
Well, you just mentioned the Roosters, so that probably added an extra 100K to his contract, especially if the Roosters are supposedly in negotiations. But I do see him staying at the Raiders. I don't see him moving on. If he does, maybe that Latrell connection does get him to South Sydney, and I think that will be a massive coup for South Sydney to have him in one centre position and Campbell Graham in another centre position. I think that would be a massive coup for them moving forward. But let's talk about one more thing before we do jump into the top performers of this game. Now, we're going to take a bit of a leaf out of a book from the Born Offside podcast. So people that don't know what that is, it is the football, the round ball. But let's talk onside, offside. Jaden Salmon screaming weak gutted dog after he scores in the last second of the game. Onside, offside?
That's onside.
Onside completely. I absolutely love the piss take. And if that's one way to rival up the fans, I can't wait for the next time these two teams play, because that's going to be an absolute cracking match.
What I thought was offside was Ricky was in the coach's box for this game. He wasn't on the sideline like his usual self. And imagine just Campbell Graham, Jaden Salmon just walking up down the sideline, just warming up, like ready to go, and he's just got his mate just sitting behind him on his own opposite chair. So it would have been funny, but I think that's a bit offside.
Yeah, it's a bit offside, but I think, like I said, like we both said, that Jaden Salmon adds a bit of excitement to the game. But let's look at the top performers. You've got Corey Hiranira on 44 tackles, Isaiah Yeo, who did celebrate a milestone on 38. On 129 metres, you have Matthew Tomoko with Brian Toto on 235. And in the line breaks, you have 1 for Sebastian and Chris and 3 for Isaac Tungo. So I guess for me, does anything here stand out for you? Is it more, okay, we kind of expect these players, especially for Penrith, to stand in week out, or does any of these come as a surprise?
Yeah, not really as a surprise, but unlucky that Isaiah missed out on Dally M points. Apart from him, Dylan Edwards, Brian To'o, and Isaac To'o all scored 2 with Nathan scoring 6. So unlucky on that account.
Well, I mean, you might be a bit closer to Dylan Edwards getting that fullback of the year this year, especially if Tedesco keeps getting knocked out. So we'll see if he can keep it, Kev. We'll see if he plays every game, but that definitely is a bonus stepping forward for you. But